This is the Minecraft world of Rathnir, a beautiful land where nations can prosper, unique cultures thrive, and where alliances mean everything. Naturally, being a nation world-building server, Rathnir has had its fair share of conflicts and controversies over its almost year-long history, but there hasn't been a conflict as big as this. The time that I, with a little bit of help from the server's goddess of chaos, destroyed the moon and accidentally caused one of the biggest wars in the server's history. Yes, this is all in Minecraft, and yes, this is the first part of that story. Alright, let's do this. Welcome to the Hickman Federation, a beautiful country in western Rathnir with a variety of landscapes and beautiful cities. And this is its leader, Tlatoani Infinite. Infinite has been the ruler of Hickman for the longest time. He's witnessed a failed coup by Rex Ferdinand, a transition to democracy, and 7 different prime ministers. The Hickman Federation was prospering under Infinite's rule. That is, until that was weird. Anyway, everything was fine with Infinite until March 6th, 2021 came along. While on an early morning stroll in the Hickman capital city of Tlahatl, Infinite began to feel a bit hazy, and he started to hallucinate. According to nearby witnesses, Infinite began speaking to imaginary figures, claiming they were the ghosts of his ancestors. Over the following days, the situation took a turn for the worse. As Infinite's hallucinations began to plague him more and more over the following days, the more people began to see that he was unfit to rule a country in this state. He began making unnecessary public announcements to the nation explaining that Hickman must begin a noble conquest, with the excuse that his ancestors told him so. The leader of Hickman was descending into complete madness. The people of the nation were obviously upset, and Hickman would have been on the verge of fracturing in half if it wasn't for the heir regent to the throne, Juan Koyo. When Juan saw Infinite fall unwell, he quickly sent him to the nearby island of Tepetal to get treatment from Hickman's best doctors, while he temporarily took his place as the representative of the Hickman throne. The nation was stable for now, but like I said before, the people were very upset at seeing their leader's health failing. But there was one person that was more upset than anyone else, and that was me. As Infinite's condition worsened, the more I, Tiwantio, feared for my friend's health, and the darker my thoughts got. Constant nightmares clouded my mind, and there were so many restless nights. But then she gave me hope. Entropy spoke of magic dairy, and a food found deep within the moon's core, known as lunar cheese, said to contain magical healing powers. Desperate to save my friend, I believed her. But like any deal, there was a catch. The only way to get the cheese was to destroy the moon altogether. She promised me she would help me get the cheese and save Infinite, and all I had to do in return was worship her. I accepted her deal. Entropy showed me what seemed like a poorly made sketch. I didn't know this at the time, but that sketch would be the rocket that would bring the moon and Rathnir to its knees. A few days went by and I hadn't heard from Entropy at all, and I started to get worried that she wouldn't hold up her end of the deal. When suddenly, early in the morning on March 5th, 2021, one of Entropy's minions visited me. I greeted the spirit, but it didn't respond. Instead, it just gestured me to follow it, so I did. It led me out to sea, and after half a day of sailing, I followed it to the southern shore of the Hickman state of Snedistan. Just off the coast of the continent of Siltor was a mysterious island that I had never seen before. When I landed on it to take a closer look, I noticed that the island's beaches weren't made of sand. The entire beach was made out of a bright purple rock that I had never seen before in Minecraft. I quickly started to mine a portion of the island, and while I was digging, I settled on a name for this new ore. Snedistanium. After a bit of experimenting, I quickly realized that this new ore was powerful. It was extremely flammable, extremely explosive, and when melted down, it made for excellent fuel. And that's when I realized what the blueprints were for. The Snedistanium was rocket fuel, and I had to build a rocket. And that's exactly what I did. After days of construction, and with a little help from Entropy's minions, I constructed what I still believe to be one of the greatest pieces of technology in Rathnir to this date. Introducing the rocket, which I called the Founder. This massive missile was filled to the brim with the extremely explosive snedistanium ore, and it was powered entirely by liquid snedistanium. As much as I tried to keep this project under wraps, it was bound to be leaked to the public at one time or another. Unfortunately, early in the morning on March 11th, my fears came true, and I realized that the rocket plans had been leaked. A citizen of Huitka, known simply as T, stumbled across my rocket plans by accident and proceeded to sell the information to numerous news stations and governments across Rathnir. And within just 24 hours, the entire world knew of my plan, and everybody freaked out. There were riots in the nation of Theos Azukdal, outcries in the Empire of Arlenor. It was bad. Myself and the Huitka government were getting denounced all across the board. We got several threats of war from multiple nations across the world, and many nations, more specifically the Flutoshania region of Olderash, even began constructing their own rockets in hopes of destroying mine. The space race had begun. The Huitka government, who had no idea any of this was going on until the news broke, quickly sent state officials and Huang Koyo himself to check on me and to see what I was doing. And a conversation that went a little bit like this unfolded. Hey there, Rex. Oh, hey there, Juan. Welcome to Zokyo. Have you come to check out the rocket? She's a beaut, isn't she? Yeah, it is about the rocket. So, you've probably heard there's a little bit of a public outcry over your rocket right now. Yeah, I have heard that. So, I don't know if you could tell by everyone yelling at us, but this rocket scandal has absolutely destroyed Huitka's reputation on the world stage. You've caused massive internal issues within the Federation. What are you getting at? You're not listening, mate. People are threatening to go to war with us over this. Everybody hates the Federation, and several world religions are in danger because of this rocket. Makes sense to me. So the rocket is bad. Except it's not. But why wouldn't it be bad? Rex, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you here, mate. We here at the Huitka Federation are kindly asking you to shut this project down. I mean, do we even really know if this Luna Cheese stuff even exists? Are you calling me a liar? No, I'm not calling you a liar, Rex. You gotta understand, this is like a serious issue. You're calling me a liar, Juan. You're calling me a liar, Juan. No, you're calling
that's not what I'm saying.
That's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying at all.
You're not even listening
and
to
you
me.
insult
No,
me
I'm
like
not
this?
insulting you.
Guys,
What are you on about?
I'm
I'm
not
not
insulting you at all. What are you talking about?
You know what?
I'm tired of you, Juan. Rex, what do you mean? Get out.
Whoa.
Get out. Get
You're
out of my
resort to
state.
violence.
Get out of here.
Rex!
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. Even after I explained to them my reasonings, almost all of the state officials disapproved of my actions for fear of war. But one state official was entirely on board, and that was the chief diplomat of the Huitka Federation, a man known as Jeda'ai. Jeda'ai was another strong Entropy supporter in Huitka, and he even claimed to have been a chosen spirit by the goddess of the void herself. After this encounter, we started to become very good friends. On the evening of March 12th, the rocket successfully launched and began its journey towards the moon. When news broke about the successful launch, I knew I was in immediate danger, and sure enough, I was right. War was declared on Huitka by over a dozen nations, and tons of mercenaries were hired to hunt me down. All unsuccessful, might I add. But there was nothing they could do. It was too late. After the successful launch of the rocket, I received a letter from Infinite in isolation. The letter explained how he fully supports my idea of the destruction of the moon and to not listen to the world, as I was doing the right thing. In a time where it seemed that everyone had turned against me, it made me happy knowing that my dear friend and father figure, Infinite, stood by my side. Early in the morning on the 13th, my rocket, guided by the goddess of chaos, successfully struck the surface of the moon. For a moment, the sky lit up, almost as if it was day, and when the light died down, the moon was fractured and bleeding. As the moon met its fate, I sat on a hill, just staring at the sky, thinking about what I had done. Then, out of nowhere, Entropy appeared next to me on the hill, sat down, and we talked for what felt like hours. As the world cried, she reassured me. She told me that the destruction of the moon was my greatest achievement. She told me that Rathnir would come to an end eventually, and this event would change the course of history of this world, forever. After a while, she got up and left, and I began to feel pride in what I had done. But unbeknown to me, I'd fallen directly into her trap.